Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Plant Fanatics. Today we're going to be talking about something very important, so stay tuned. Not so long ago we introduced you guys to the sand propagation method, and I still hold on to the fact that this is the best propagation method that I've come across for anything that's typically propagated from cuttings. And we've shown you guys how to propagate plants in paper towels and Ziploc bags, all the way to the traditional methods of rooting in soil. And this is definitely the best method that I've ever come across. With that being said, I'm getting a lot of comments from people and I'm concerned about some of the issues going on, so I want to go ahead and cover those right now. The first issue that I'm seeing is that people are not waiting anywhere near long enough to see if this method is going to work for them. I'm getting comments from people who have waited a week, 2 weeks, and saying that this method is trash, that it doesn't work. And the reality is, these people have obviously not propagated cuttings before, because 2 weeks is barely long enough for any sort of root development to start to occur. There's going to be the rare instances where you get something that starts rooting after about a week, but that's going to be pretty outlandish and not something that's going to happen very often. So we need to wait proper amounts of time, and that can be anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks or even a little bit longer depending on the cuttings. Another issue that I'm seeing a lot is people are opening their bins 20 times a day, and that's a little bit excessive, guys. The reason that that's an issue is because we're letting humidity out of the bins, and the whole point of having an enclosed system like this is to keep humidity high so those roots can start to develop and we don't dry the cuttings out. And we also are putting these cuttings in a clear bin like this so we can see the root development, and you can see the root development when it's time to uppot these things, okay? The roots are very vigorous when doing this method. Another thing that people have been commenting is that I'm rooting figs, and therefore, because figs are so easy to root, this method isn't gonna work for anything else. Anything that's typically propagated from cutting is going to be easily rooted from cutting. That's why we would do it that way, because it's the easiest way to do it. Things that have a very difficult time propagating from cutting need to be grafted onto a rootstock or grown from a seedling. Now, if we're looking to preserve the fruit quality and the exact genetics of the parent plant, then obviously, yeah, we want to do the grafting or we want to root the cutting if that's a possibility of being done. So what I'm saying is anything that's easily rooted from cutting can be rooted in this method, whether that's mulberries, blackberries, figs, anything of that sort can be done in this method. I am rooting all these cuttings in my garage. There's no secret magic trick going on here for all these cuttings to be rooting so well. I have them in less than ideal conditions because in my garage, it's not heated and it can go from 40 degrees to 70 degrees on any given day, depending on the temperature outside. What I'm doing is I set my cuttings on a heat mat, and that heat mat is set to 73 degrees to keep the bins at the same temperature no matter what the fluctuations in the air are. So there's no magic trick going on here, guys. You can do this right at home, and I am preserving those conditions just so I can teach you guys how to do that. Another problem that I'm starting to see arise is actually people's moisture levels not being adequate enough. People are so scared of overwatering their cuttings, which is funny because people have no problem trying to root their cuttings in a soil medium, which is far more risky than doing it this way. Even if you were to overwater in this situation, in the sand propagation situation, your cuttings have a much higher chance of success in this method being overwatered than they do in a soil medium, because you're going to start having gnats and their larvae ravaging your tender roots, and also you're going to have a lot of rot setting in. But because in this method, if you come over here and look, in this method, we have the cutting sitting on top of the medium that we're rooting in, which means that they're not totally just engulfed in an oversaturated material. So that's why this method, in my opinion, is superior to the traditional methods of rooting. Now, as far as watering these cuttings go and making sure that they are going to successfully root, every couple of days or so, you can open this bin and you can look in there and you could clearly see if the sand is dry or not. And if it seems to be dry and if those cuttings are completely dry, you literally just take a spray bottle and mist your cuttings like that. And then as soon as you're done, put the lid back on top, put it back on your heat mat if the conditions are less than ideal, and then just leave them alone. There's nothing that you can do like, we are not God. So we can't walk over to our cuttings and just will the roots into being. It doesn't work like that. These cuttings know what they're doing. They're going to start creating roots because that's what's in their DNA, in their genetics to do. They're going to start rooting in order to ensure their survival. So you put them in here, you give them ideal conditions, and you walk away. And every couple of days, check these things, make sure they're not drying out. And that's all there is to it. This is not a complex system. I think what I'm realizing is that people want it to be complex. Like, they want to be a part of what they're doing here. And the problem is that you want to be a part of it so bad that you're not leaving room for the plants to do what they're naturally going to do anyway. So give your plants space after giving them the proper conditions, and they're going to do what you want them to do. It's not going to be in a week. It may not be in 2 weeks. It might be in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Give them the time that's necessary to do it. Obviously, if more than a month goes by, we want to make sure that those cuttings are still alive. But honestly, I've had cuttings from certain varieties that have taken a month and a half all the way almost to 2 months. And that's how much patience can be required when propagating plants. And if you don't have the patience to deal with that, then yeah, I would just buy a rooted plant already, because obviously this isn't going to be something that's for you, which is fine. It's not for everybody, but you can't be an impatient person and propagate plants. It just doesn't work like that. And honestly, you can't really be into plants and be an impatient person, especially fruiting plants. Because, like, for instance, if I plant an apple tree, I could wait 5 years before I get a good crop of fruits. And I'm just saying that because I get a lot of comments from people that say it's faster to do this, it's faster to do that. If you're growing plants, you have to understand speed is thrown out the window most of the time. You can buy the grafted plants and get fruit faster, but you're still going to have to wait for that plant to get some substantial size to it. So anyway, I hope this video kind of helps answer some of the common questions that I'm getting in the comments. And hopefully it's not coming across rude. It's just that some people leave kind of rude comments and it leaves me in a bad place. So let's just be respectful in the comments. If you guys have a concern, ask respectfully and I'd be happy to get back to you. But most of the problems that are taking place that I'm reading about are at the hands of the person propagating. It has nothing to do with the plants. It has nothing to do with the cuttings. It has to do with impatience. It has to do with not giving ideal conditions. So let's be patient, let's learn, and let's propagate plants together, and let's have a good time on this channel. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a like on the video. Share with your friends who are propagating plants. A lot of people have now seen this method, and there's a reason for that. I keep putting videos out so that more and more people can see it. I don't just put the same video out so the same people can watch it over and over again. We're trying to reach more people. We're trying to help more people propagate plants successfully and get into this craft. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one.